All right, let me just grab the tick tock, dibby dibby dibby. You don't stop. Let me grab them, and we will get this party started. I'm in a good mood, and I'm excited to talk about victory in spite of all obstacles. Victory Gardens, back when America was the place to be. All right, where are we? Let's see. Cubs to Bears. Boom. Cubs to Bears, Cubs to Bears, Cubs to Bears. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, let's go Cubs to Bears. Let's go live. Go live. Let's go boom. Let's go WW2. Not BW. W. Good morning, this earthen vessel. How are you? I'm just getting TikTok set up here, and then we'll get this party started. WW2 Victory Gardens plus Homeschool. Not enough characters. World War II Victory Gardens. And I'm just going to put HS. I'll put the HS for Homeschool, but no one will know what it means. I'll put home. Home. The skill of copywriting. I once read a book, Crypto Copywriting, which is pretty good. I think it's crypto, something like that. Good book, good read, high school students. Copywriting is about writing proper titles. So if you write an article, or if you're advertising something, if you're a talented copywriter, you can drive a lot more traffic to what you're trying to drive the traffic to, which by its nature is valuable. Plus, it helps with the algorithms and whatnot. If you're using the right key terms, the keywords, right, it can help you with the algorithms. So, all right. Neither here nor there. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, TikTok. We are live. I'm going to set up like that. Just like that a little more, a little bit better of a setup. We are live, and it is a beautiful day here in the sunny, sunny South. The sun is shining. The plants look happy as ever, and I am more than happy to be here. And I had a really good morning. I was up very early, as always. And this morning, I was doing a little bit of research into history, and I'm a historian, by the way, and World War II history, World War II Victory Gardens. And I've become increasingly interested in the subject in light of everything that's going on in the world right now. Every time I go on social media, I see someone talking about, oh my God, there is a shortage of baby formula. Or if you go into the stores in New York, you can't get basically anything, right? I mean, there is a massive food shortage hitting certain parts of the country already. And really, the food shortage, everyone is saying, what if a food shortage comes? What are we going to do if a food shortage comes? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's already here. It's already here. What do I mean? How do I know that? Let me explain. We live in the United States of America, so because of that, the dollar is very powerful. Even though all of our money is debt, there is still a tremendous amount of wealth in the United States of America. So when food is grown, because right now we have a global system, food isn't, unfortunately, Americans have stopped being self-reliant, and much of our food comes from all over the world, right? Food processing plants in Mexico or other countries. Good morning, Foster Bear. So what happens is, as there starts to be problems with the supply chain, right? As there starts to be less food available, Americans don't feel it directly like the rest of the world does. What happens is, they say, hey, usually we have, X amount of mangoes, but now we have a lot less. So who's ever willing to pay for the mangoes is going to get them. America has the money. They say, we'll pay more money for the mangoes, and those mangoes are shipped to America, and then you feel that. You go, man, the grocery prices are really going up, but at least there's food. Well, no, the grocery prices are going up because of supply and demand. So in third world countries that maybe previously they would have got mangoes as well, now you're paying more for mangoes because there's less available, and the third world countries, they aren't getting any mangoes at all. The food shortage is already here, and people are feeling that in other places in the world, whereas in America, you're only feeling that in your wallet. Well, this is where it comes full circle. And for those of you familiar with what I do, I run a homeschooling company. I am the education guy, and I'm also very passionate about freedom. I've written books on free speech and the Second Amendment and all these things. And I've written a book called You Are What You Eat. So I'm passionate about healthy living. I'm an historian. And when I look at everything going on in the world, when I see the President of the United States go on television, and this is a monumental moment, people should take a step back and reflect to where we are right now in the United States of America. I mean, if you would have told me 10 to 15 years ago that the day would come in which the President of the United States in 2022 would stand in front of the American people and say, prepare yourselves, there are going to be food shortages in the United States of America. There are going to be food shortages in the United States of America, and it's the fault of some president in another country across the world. Goodbye. For one, how have we gotten to the point where in the United States of America we're talking about food shortages? And then number two, and this is the tell. Don't worry about the problem they give you. They always tell you there's problems. What are their solutions? Are their solutions all corporate government solutions? Because if the solutions are all corporate government, are they really trying to help you? Or are they just trying to put you in a state of fear so that you accept dependence? Problem, reaction, solution. Think about everything that happened since March of 2020. We were presented with a problem. We were shown a lot of scary videos of people dropping down, right? We were presented with a problem. The people reacted with fear, predictably. And then the solution offered was corporate government. And anyone who tried to talk about solutions that weren't corporate government, right, that was shut down, right? They were told you're not allowed to bring those things up. So there was problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. They're saying, listen, we got a problem, and it's a scary one, and you're going to react with fear, and then here's our corporate government solution. Well, now you have the President of the United States. He gets on the line, President of the United States, and the President of the United States says, you know, there might be food shortages, and yeah, it's not our fault. It's another president across the world. It's his fault that there's food shortages in the United States of America. And that's it. Good luck. Come again? Let me give you a history lesson. A history lesson, controllers. And I don't point my finger at Biden because he's a puppet, right? He's a puppet. I mean, most presidents are puppets, right? Cut there. I'm using him as the United States went on television and said, look what's happening, right? Well, back in World War II, right? Again, the controllers. It's bigger than the president, but these are corporate government solutions. These are corporate government generated problems. But back in World War II, America had a problem with food shortages. I hope I have reception because it says I have reception problems. Well, it's beyond that. Yeah, I mean, of course, politicians take credit for everything that's good, right? And take responsibility for good things that happen, and they try to deflect on bad things. But think about this. I mean, if there were a real leader, right? If these people talk about how we want to unite the country, well, just imagine this. Instead of there are going to be food shortages and it's the fault of someone across the world, the president across the world, right? Imagine the president of the United States came on and said, we as Americans are on the precipice of a challenge that we have not faced since World War II, that we have not faced since our grandparents. my grandparents, your grandparents, the great generation, when they overcame a threat, a tyranny, which threatened not only the free people in Europe, but free people all over the world. Americans came together then, and I am asking Americans to come together now. My intelligence advisors, corporate leaders are telling us that we are on the precipice of food shortages that we have not seen since World War II. So now, as the President of the United States, I look to you to come together like our grandparents did during World War II. Like John F. Kennedy said long ago, ask not what you can do, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I want to look out on front lawns all over America and see victory gardens. I do not want to see grass. I want to see tomatoes. I want to see cucumbers. I want to see corn. If there is grass, if there is dirt, then we could plant food. We will feed ourselves. We will feed our families. We will feed our children. And we will come together as Americans and we will feed our neighbors. Our local governments, we are asking you to lead the way, to take your parks, to take your big Central Park in New York, to take the big parks all over the United States of America and establish community gardens. That is farmland that we can use to feed people who cannot feed themselves. We will come together. We will not go down in the night. America will rise today as it had risen during World War II, as it had risen during World War I, as it had risen during the American Revolution. We will do it with rugged individualism. We will do it with community, and we will do it together. Do you think that's not a winning message? So it's beyond, oh, politicians only take credit. They only take credit when things are going well. Oh, please, you put me, if I was the president right now, I'd be like, what a winning issue. What a great way to bring communities together. I want to see every park in the United States of America turn into a farm, and I want it to be a community farm. I want to invite the members of our community to volunteer and come in and work together to feed one another. That is what leadership would look like, and that's the way the controllers, and understand someone like Biden is only doing what he's controlled to do, right? Presidents are puppets. So if the controllers were really interested in uniting people, if they were really interested in making sure that people were fed and not hungry, that is what they would do. But instead what they do is they have the President of the United States go on television and they say, there are going to be food shortages. It's not our fault. It's the fault of someone across the world. And yeah, get ready for that. They are selling you fear. They're selling you a problem so that you react with fear. And then once the problem sets in, they could offer you corporate government. Holy shish kebab. Excuse me. A huge branch just fell. Whoa. You see that, babe? Whoa. Hit the fence. I don't want to get hit if something else falls. Look at this. You guys ready? You guys ready for this? That big branch came down. Brady, stay away from here, because more might fall. I don't know. And that on that side. That was nuts. Let me just walk back that way. All right. You guys see that branches? Glad I wasn't standing there. All right. Okay. Sorry, let me get you guys situated again. Never a dull moment. Yeah, that's these southern pine trees are huge, and like there are some widowmakers. There are some widowmakers. All right, where was I before that happened? Be careful over there, babe. All right, let me see what the people are saying. So, we are on, by the way, I'm going to go back and answer all your questions. For those of you not aware, again, I run a homeschooling company. And one of the things we're doing this year, and I really enjoy talking about everything with World War II and the potential food shortages. I'm also a homesteader, so I grow my food. I have plum trees, peach trees, apple trees, avocado trees, clementine trees, pomegranate trees, grapes, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Yeah, you name it, I try to grow it. So, holy crap! My wife's holding up the branch. Was that 8 feet? So I'm very passionate about this topic, and one of the things my students in Homeschools Connected, our private homeschool community, have been doing this year is we've been doing a year-long nature unit study in which the children have actually been learning to set up their own gardens since the beginning of the year. And with that, I mean, they've built their own garden boxes, so they've learned about carpentry. They've done their own composting. They've made their own soil, right? They have made at-home fertilizer, which is really cool. They planted their seeds outside, and they're growing their own plants. And then they've also been learning about soil biology, photosynthesis, and the different types of garden bugs. And last week we started studying bees, which are, of course, so important. And this week, our students will actually be making their own beeswax candles, as well as a few other assignments related to honey. So I'm really excited about that. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, it's great. I'll make the video on the World War II victory gardens and what American leadership would look like if it wasn't designed structurally to keep you in a state of fear so that it could sell you corporate government solutions. But the answer to that is personal responsibility. You don't need Joe Biden or anyone else to tell you that if there's an issue with the food, then you should be growing your own food. And again, I know everyone's like, oh, you hear about different things that people allege are going on, right? You hear about fires and planes hitting things, and you hear about, oh, there could be these shortages, and you see the baby formula shortage. You see grocery stores in many parts of the country are missing many items, right? Understand the food shortages are already here. You're feeling it with the increased price from a steady demand and a lowering supply, right? If you have 330 million Americans and you have X supply of food, right? It is what it is. When that supply goes down, when there's less food available, but there's the same number of Americans, the food producers are able to drive up the price. So then the price of food goes up. So when you go to the grocery store and those prices, and I went this weekend and the prices were way up, those prices are way up, that's telling you, okay, the supply has changed, right? And of course, gas and everything plays factors in that, oil, right? But with those food prices going up, that's the reason we still have the food is because Americans are able to bid more, right? Americans pay more for food so they can pay higher bids. So when there's less supply of food, who has the highest bid? Americans. So the food goes to America, right? There's other countries in the world that can't make those bids, right? With the limited supply. So you're seeing the shortages already take place. Now, do I think that there'll come a day where you can't get any food? I don't think so. I mean, it could happen, but I don't think so. But I think it's tougher to get fruits and vegetables and organic foods and things that are actually good for you. You know, I think the powers that be want to make sure you could stuff your face with McDonald's because when people start having empty bellies, they start getting rebellious. So you want to make sure their bellies, you know, the controllers want to make sure people have full bellies and a lack of nutrition. Now, why would they want people to have a lack of nutrition? You know, use your imagination. Use your imagination, Boppy. Did you know Australia is trying to pass They're trying to ban home gardening right now. Yeah, I heard that. But you know what? All you Australians should follow Tom Burnett, because he's an Australian and he teaches people how to protect their rights, their God-given rights. But you have to know how to do that. I'm not going to get too into that this stream. I mean, basically it goes back to English common law. And if you understand where you come from, then you can maintain jurisdiction under old English common law if you know how to do it. But again, that gets complex, so I follow Tom Burnett for that. Yeah, McDonald's will still be around, all that fake fast food. Yeah, well, you have the same people that have been involved in all the stuff since March of 2020, right? Like, Bill Gates is the #1 owner of farmland in the United States of America, right? So why is that? What are his interests? What are his motives, right? What is his intent? And then he is heavily invested. He is the largest investor in genetically modified meat that's not meat, right? Right? And then years ago, you have Cortez seeding in people's minds, yo, the real problem with the world and the environment is cows. The cows are farting, right? We can't let these farmers have all these cows. So what they're doing is they're conditioning. They're socially conditioning people to accept that they should be eating, genetically modified garbage, right? You see the same thing where they come out and they're like, first they run the narrative with everything since March of 2020. Now they're like, the birds are getting sick, right? Confiscate the birds, right? You see? Chickens, right? All of this stuff is very contrived. But it's a game of chess. The life is a game of chess. But we can combat all of that by the manner through which we live our lives. You go back throughout history, World War II, victory gardens. World War I, victory gardens. The American Revolution was only possible because the colonists were such independent people. Well, that's what I do here. For anyone not familiar with what I do here, we educate our children so that they know how to live a free and independent life. And that starts with our nature unit study, our year-long nature unit study, in which the children are studying geography. They're learning direction, north, east, south, and west. They're learning that the sun is actually a clock in the sky, and how to track the sun in the sky, and how to use the sun in the sky to choose the best location for a garden, how to construct a garden box, how to make compost, how to make worm farms, how to make your own fertilizer, how to research which hardiness zone, which planting zone you live in, how to plant your seeds and grow your food, take care of your plants, how to read the leaves of the plants when they're telling you, hey, there's something wrong here, probably with the soil, or I'm getting too much water, or too much sun, or not enough sun, right? So we're teaching children how to do these things. And all the while we're doing it, we are also using what we are doing to get the children basic entrepreneurial experience, right? So we're using what we're doing to get them entrepreneurial experience, because you want your children to develop skills, carpentry, like constructing a garden box or a greenhouse. You want them to, we incorporate a lot of art and photography and videography into what we're doing, because these are life skills that they can really benefit from throughout the course of their life. So like, one of the things I'll suggest to the parents this week, because the children are going to make their own candles out of beeswax, if the child really likes that assignment, if they enjoy making the candles, have them make a few candle designs, and then do an unschooling offshoot of our nature unit study, in which the children practice selling candles on Facebook Marketplace or on Etsy, right? Or maybe something more physical in the real world, they approach a local mom and pop shop, right? Go to a local mom and pop shop with your child, with their candles, speak to the owner, say, I make these candles, I'd love to do business with you. I mean, imagine the experience, the life experience your child is getting, making these candles, going to a local mom and pop shop, cold pitching the owner. Like, imagine a 10-year-old cold pitching the owner, saying, I make these candles. I'd be willing to sell them to you at wholesale, and then you can sell them at retail. Would you be willing to do business with me? It's a mindset. You're developing skills. You're getting children experience. You're developing an entrepreneurial mindset. This is how you educate children so that they can live that free and independent life. And then along with that, what else we do, right? I teach a course every Thursday on the Bill of Rights, a live class every Thursday on the Bill of Rights, which is really cool. We study the Bill of Rights, free speech, the Second Amendment, right? We study the American Revolution. We study propaganda. I use the Cubs to Bears Children book series, which I wrote myself, to teach children about propaganda, how social shame could be weaponized against people, how the media will tell you, the media will show you a partial picture, right? And then they'll tack a little lie onto that partial picture and build a narrative around it, right? I teach a course on the media industrial complex. So this is how you educate children so that you can prepare them to live that free and independent life. And it's definitely needed in today's world with everything going on. So let me go back. I'm going to read through your comments now, see what the people are saying. You keep freezing. They're messing with the internet. Yeah, I don't think they're messing with the net, but I don't think I'm that important. But oof, a lot preachy. Yeah, I'm not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. I don't care to be. Should I tell you what you want to hear? Should I virtue signal? Should I signal my virtue? Oof, preachy. Yeah, I mean, this is a social media live stream. I'm literally staring at two cameras, staring at my own face. Would you expect me not to be preachy? Am I preaching now? People. Victoria Gardens, community gardens be an excellent opportunity for church and Christians. That's another, I think I'm going to make a video on that this week. Great opportunity right now for children is to, you show them how to do like construct garden boxes, like for our nature unit study or whatever, or how to garden, and have them actually approach the church, offer to set up a garden at the church voluntarily, and then say, you know, I'd love to do this, and I love not only to set up the garden, but if I could get help from the congregation, and maybe maybe the church would be willing to help raise some funds for the soil and whatnot, get volunteers, and then your child, maybe like 12 years old, they could actually get workers under them. Great experience in which they're doing this really great thing at the church. They're partnering with the church. They're growing food. They are running an operation in which they have basically free employees, right? Where they're giving people responsibilities. This is great life experience, and that's something that all of your children can do. I would start before they do that. I'd show them how to build the garden boxes so they could show the church, look, I built this garden box. I'd be willing to build these for the church. You know, obviously I need help with the funds and whatnot. And if I could get some workers at the church, people who volunteer, and it could be a really great thing. We could have this church garden, and it could really create a sense of, right? You want to show them how to make a pitch. So you want to have them pitch to the church. Like, you want to go over bullet points with them. Like, you'll have this church garden. You'll be able to use the crops we grow at the church to put on bake sales or farmers market to raise money back that you're putting into it. You're building a sense of community, right? You want to show them how to do a pitch, right? So everything you do with them is all about teaching them life skills. And I don't care if it's unpopular. Yes, sales and marketing are life skills. And then I'll get people on here like, are you doing sales and marketing right now? Yeah. What do you think? This is life. What are you talking about? Everyone should know these skills. And it's part of life, right? Like, what's the point of me writing all these books that I'm passionate about on freedom, right? What's the point of me writing all the books? What's the point of me building a homeschool company if I don't do sales and marketing, right? I don't know. I see people like these gammas, right? These people who are like conditioned to lose, and they're like, ah, I was like, do you hear yourself? But yeah, these are very good skills you teach your children. So I would definitely look into, if your child has been doing that, which I know many of you have with the nature unit study, to approaching the church and having your children do a cold pitch, and then maybe getting the gig, right? Where they're voluntarily running this community garden at the church. I mean, I can't think of an education better than that. I mean, that's some powerful stuff. We started putting food in the ground years ago, and I'm so glad we did. Yeah, and you're crushing, and it's a great way to educate your children, and it really is, I mean, one, it's just so rewarding, but it's also, with the world and all the uncertainty right now, to me, like, I don't know why everyone wouldn't be gardening. Yeah, it scares them when we come together. Plant not just food, but medicine. Yeah, Bear Mini Mom is like next level with all her stuff. So, Bear Mini Mom is an absolute crusher. And yeah, you want to plant herbs and medicine. And then as you plant the herbs and medicine, your children could study herbology and all that stuff. Like, my wife is putting out a game that teaches that sometime in the next month. Paola Brown has a great curriculum all about homeopathy, and you could actually grow the herbs that run in correlation with what Paola Brown is doing, and then you could use the herbs your children grows to make remedies. So, I mean, think about that. Where are you located? A lot of people threaten to hurt me, so I'm in the South. Florida's absolutely crushing. A lot of members of Homeschools Connected are from Florida. Florida is absolutely crushing right now. They love when we're fat, sick, and tired. Yeah, they absolutely do. Seed to Supper. My wife loves your name, and so do I. That is a great name. That's cool. Hello from Korea? Someone from Korea? Sorry if you're not from Korea. I'm like insulting people on the stream. What country is that you're from? See, I don't actually try to insult individual people. I stand against political correctness, right? Like when I teach Korea, okay, I am correct. I insult no one. You know, like when I teach my class on the American Revolution, I don't only use the term Native Americans. Like, I use that term, but I also use other terms. Because we can't go through life being afraid to offend everyone based on what politicians say is offensive. They don't care that it's offensive. They're just trying to control you. Ice. Ice, baby. A little bit preachy. Okay. Go somewhere else. A little bit preachy. Yeah, entrepreneurial skills is a great thing to teach kids. Rock the STEM, check his stuff out. He makes STEM-based curriculums, which he sent me some. I actually have to try them out with my son. I'm planning to do that this week, so I'm hoping I can get to that. But I definitely want to check out your stuff. And I'm also going on his podcast. Probably, I think 2 weeks from now, on a Thursday, I'll go on his podcast. So check out Rock the STEM. Love everything you're saying. Totally agree. Totally agree. I'm home educating my kids in the UK. Are you preaching to us? That's great. That's great. And people, I mean, the homeschool movement is spreading throughout the whole world. And to me, it is the fastest growing, largest freedom movement in not just modern America, but the modern world. And people are taking personal responsibility. We're sick of the system, and we're saying, you know what, we're not going to rely on it, right? It's one thing to not comply, right? Yeah, we all shouldn't comply, but you become free when you don't rely. So yes, don't comply, but you become free when you don't rely, right? Don't rely on their systems. Stop preaching. Our promo code? Freedom. Freedom, all lowercase. Yeah, so if you go to classicallearner.com, you'll see Homeschools Connected. And that's our private homeschool community. You get access to our unit study, the curriculum that I put together and teach, and our amazing community of homeschool mothers and fathers, which is it's really phenomenal social media at this point. Like, we have a great open primary chat of everyone really just talking throughout every day. So classicallearner.com, Homeschools Connected, and use the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase, and it's $10 a month. And I do my best to always provide more and more value, right? Because I want to make sure I provide enough value that you always want to stay for $10 a month. And again, that's like those troll type people that be like, so you're just trying to get them to stay for $10 a month? I run a business, trolls. You know, it's this thing that people do when they're not reliant on the system, right? And not only do I run a business that I really believe in. I run a homeschool company that I built from the ground level up, like with my blood, sweat, and tears, that I've spent so many nights. I've worked 15-hour days and stayed up to 3 a.m, like building all this stuff out. Like, this is my life's work. Like, it's very much connected to who I am at this point. I write books on what I believe in, free speech, the Second Amendment, the congressionally documented history of fake news. Like, do stuff you believe in and you'll never work a day in your life. And I don't feel like I'm working. Like, I love what I do. And in fact, my wife has had to teach me to turn it off. She's had to really teach me, like, Brett, it's okay, take a step back, you know, like, because my disposition is like, I love this stuff. I'm just go, 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 go. You are very valuable and beyond worth $10 a month. Thank you, this earthen vessel. It's a great community with great curriculum. Thank you, Foster Bear. Just bought your Bear to Cubs to Bears books. Excited to get them. Yeah, Bear to Cubs books is like where they try to keep, the public school system tries to keep people in a permanent state of adolescence. They're like, you could be Bear, but we will make sure when you grow up you are a Cub, so that you're always reliant on the government and corporations. Like, no, we're Cubs to Bears. We take our little Cubs and we raise them to be independent and free, so that they could be. That's the meaning. That's why I chose the name Cubs to Bears. So you take a little Cub. We don't want them to stay a Cub. Like, we want them to be a bear. Like, I want them to grow up and be independent and free. And the way we do that is, obviously my books are like, they're about that. But really the way you do that is, because the freedom stuff is great, but you have to teach people to live free. And the way you do that is you get them critical thinking, skills, and entrepreneurial experience. How do you teach critical thinking? Well, as they get older and they start to, like, they get to middle school, high school, you want them to pick areas of study, like when they study history. So if they're studying the Civil War, I want to say, okay, let's study the Civil War. What primary documents do you want to read? Like, do you want to read the original writings of Abe Lincoln? Read them. And then after they read the original writings of Abe Lincoln, you should read the original writings of people on the other side of that conflict. So why don't you read the primary correspondence of Stonewall Jackson? So now they're getting into the habit of interpreting original information for themselves, and they can formulate, using critical thinking, their own unique understanding of what actually happened, rather than this public school model of, hey, you know, this is what happened, this is the narrative, you memorize that, and if you do, you're smart. But if you don't memorize exactly what we tell you to memorize, then we're going to label you a failure, a bad student, a bad apple, and, you know, you guys get it, right? When they study science, it's not about, oh, like, I memorized this scientific theory. Like, that's nice. Like, no, they need to be doing observations. They need to be formulating their own hypothesis, carrying out experiments, right? Like, doing science, right? Skill development, construction, engineering, computer coding, art, music, photography, videography, plumbing, hair cutting, like any skill you could think of. It takes one skill to free a man. The reason they could go up to everyone and say, either you get this procedure or you can't work. And you're like, but I don't want the procedure. And they're like, then starve, right? Like, that's what the system does, right? They're like, then don't pay your mortgage and lose your house, right? Like, that's the demon. That's the system, right? So the reason people are like, all right, I guess I have to get the procedure, is the system bullies them and they feel like they can't do anything else other than their 9 to 5. Well, you take that same person and he knows, like, all right, yes, my 9 to 5 job, like, it's inconvenient if I'd have to quit my job right now, but I know I'm a carpenter. Like, I can get work doing construction. I could market myself as a handyman. I can fix things. It takes one skill to free a man. So focus on skill development. Skills over subject matter. Not that subjects don't matter. They do matter. But we want to teach our children skills. And then entrepreneurial experience, you want to give your children, we call it the rule of 6. Whereas every 6 months from the time your child's a little 5 years old, 5, 6 years old, you want to get your child some type of entrepreneurial experience. So that could be a lemonade stand. That could be selling a candle on that could be selling a candle on Etsy or on the Facebook Marketplace. But you want them getting entrepreneurial experience. And obviously, as they get older, that can start to become more complex based on what they're interested in and what their skills are. Right? And then when you do all these things, and they're critical thinkers, they have skills, and they have entrepreneurial experience, when they're 18, 19, 20 years old, they could set up their life so that they're not reliant on the government, they're not reliant on the corporation, they're not even reliant on you as the parent, which is how it used to be, right? I mean, people would be 18 and they'd be self-sufficient. Well, we want our children to do that. That's what we want. That's what I want for my children, right? Like, I don't want my 30-year-old child being like, Dad, I need you. Now, obviously, I'm going to be there to help. Like, these are my children, and I'll be more than happy my entire life to help with everything my children need. But hopefully the stuff that my children need are like, wow, Dad, look, I've been crushing, like, I've been running this business. I ran into this problem. Do you think you could take a look at it? And I'll be like, you know, obviously, of course, what can I do? Right? Like, that's the problem. Those are the problems I want my 30-year-olds to have. Right? Like my father-in-law is a very impressive businessman, and I always run stuff by him. Like, yeah, I'm doing this. Like, what do you think? And I just want to see what he says, because usually, like, he'll come from a completely different perspective, a completely different experience than I had, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, actually. So, like, mentorship is good, and, you know, all that stuff is good, and we should, our society loses that, right? Awesome job, brother. Keep sharing these ideas. I want to homeschool my kids, but don't know where to start or how it all works. Go to hslda.org, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org, and they have, yeah, someone just wrote about Australia on my Instagram. It popped up. Yeah, Australia is crazy. I mean, that's what happens when you let them do their little buyback they did in the 90s. I mean, it is so tyrannical there, it's just insane. And that's coming from America, where it's super tyrannical here, so. But hey. Yeah, go to hslda.org, Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org, and they have the regulations you need to be aware of and the paperwork you need. So when you go to their website, scroll down, you'll see a map of the United States of America. Click on the state that you live. It will have the regulations and the paperwork. Our homeschool population in Florida is definitely growing. Yeah, I think Florida, I might have more members of Homeschools Connected in Florida than anywhere else. It's either that or Ohio or Texas, where I have the most members from. So I definitely see that with Florida, a lot of homeschoolers. What is your company name? Classical Learner, and our homeschool group is Homeschools Connected. How do I join? Yeah, go to classicallearner.com. You'll see Homeschools Connected and use the discount code FREEDOM. It's $10 a month. Our family, your Cubs to Bears. Our family loves your Cubs to Bears stories. Our family thanks you, man. Yeah, I have another book out too, but I can't get my illustrator to do it right now. So I don't know. I've been kind of frustrated. I don't know what I want to do. I'm at an impasse. And I have a few books. I want to write a few books that I have in my head right now that I haven't had the time to write. The next book that I have written already is You Are What You Eat Part 2, which is all about, basically about how they corrupt the food system with like GMOs and whatnot and pesticides. And then I want to write a book on leadership. I want to write a book on failing to success. And I want to write more books on the Bill of Rights. Oh, I have so many books I want to write. I kind of want to do a series on the American Revolution too. I don't have enough time. I need time. Start with one. You can't climb mountains with leaps. You climb them with steps. If you are in the need of another illustrator, you can send them some. You could send me some of your work. Yeah, I appreciate that. Here's the thing, like, with Cubs to Bears, I have a sense of loyalty to Masha that I feel like Cubs to Bears is hers to draw. Now, I've considered maybe like doing like the books that are that style having be Masha and writing them in a different style, because I always like challenges and I could, like I wrote the Peanut Trap in a different style. And the Peanut Trap I had Hand Drawn Bear on Instagram do, which she did a great job on that book. So I don't know. I'm going through a lot in my head with it. I haven't been able to pull the trigger on what I want to do, and so we'll see. Anyone that hurts a fellow homesteader and family man will have my trouble. I've got your back. Well, that's the thing, and that's like, it's okay to have in-group preference. In fact, we need to have our nation. Like, one of the things I added on Homeschools Connected last week was an area for community businesses where people who are members of Homeschools Connected could post their business information in this section so that the other members of the community could find them, right? We need to grow our food. We need to be husbands and wives and reject hookup culture and have lots of children and homeschool our children and start businesses and hire our friends. And we need to do all of these things, right? Because these are the things that lend to being free so that you can't be controlled by the people who want to sell you fear so that they can sell you corporate government solutions, right? That's how you do it. So I appreciate you having my back, and I have your back, because people that live their lives like me, I consider them my nation. Like, people have this false conception of what a nation is. Like, is the Cherokee Nation land, or is the Cherokee Nation a people? Right? I think it's pretty obvious what that answer is. A nation is a people. And one of the things they've done with political correctness and the cultural appropriation narrative, the reason they put these things in place, and then they teach history, they teach all the founding fathers were bad. Don't get me wrong, they did bad things, but they teach children it's rotten to its core, which it's not. They do this because they're trying to separate people from their nation. They don't want Americans to have a nation. And then what they do is they flood our borders, right? And all that together, they know if you want to conquer a country, if you separate those people from their nation, they have no identity. And if they have no identity, they're very easy to conquer. And that's what you've been seeing in the world, right? So the more we community build, right, the more we come together, the more we rely on one another. Like, don't rely on the system, rely on each other. Know your farmer. Like, spend a little bit more money buying your meat from the farmer down the block than you do at Walmart, because that's where your power is. Like, that's what they don't want you to know. And the thing is, once you get back to that, once you do these things, you actually start to become more powerful, and then that's when the political class has to listen to you. And people are like, oh, the political class is running rampshot on the country. Yeah, because the people have lost their power. What people do is they look at the political class and they say, we need you to do this legislation. Come on, do this. Oh, we're going to get the Republicans in. Oh, we're going to get the Democrats in. Oh, come on with that. But we're, right, they look at Nancy Pelosi and they look at Mitch McConnell and they say, you solve our problems. But what they don't realize is that they're all funded by the same people at the top. And those people at the top, they want you looking at the screen, looking at these politicians, their puppets, and saying, solve our problems. Because if they do that, you've, by the nature of saying, can you solve my problem, you've said, you have my power. You've given away your power. We get our power back through personal responsibility. And that's how I've tried to live my life. I sold my house to get my family out of debt, moved my family across the country to start a homestead. I grow my own food. I run my own business, right? I homeschool my children. I'm a devoted husband. I'm a devoted father, right? God willing, to many more children, right? Because the more children, right, people complain about, oh, we're being replaced. Oh, we're being replaced. Oh, the open borders. You're being replaced because the birth above replacement rate is under 2.1. People that are getting married, and that's not everyone, aren't even having enough children to replace themselves. Of course you're being replaced. Of course you're being replaced. Don't have one child. Don't have two children. Have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are people in my community, in Homeschools Connected, multiple people with 11 children in Homeschools Connected. Be fruitful and multiply and spread the Garden of Eden. Don't talk about the Bible, live the Bible. Right? Live as God would want you to live. Live in a way that if you look Jesus in the eyes, you could shake his hand and have pride about it. Not in the, the biblical bad way, just in that I'm trying to follow you. I'm trying to do what you preach me to do, what you came here to teach me to do. It froze before. My son decided to become the vanilla farmer in the U.S. You are such a legend. Okay. All right. This has been the inside joke with my wife for the longest time now. I'm very into trying to grow everything. And about a year ago, I researched vanilla. I was like, how do you grow vanilla? And apparently vanilla is one of the hardest things to grow in the world. Like, it only grows in a few select places in the entire world because you have to have the exact right climate conditions, like everything. So one of the things I joke with my wife is once we get a big enough operation, I'll set up a monster greenhouse and we'll corner the entire vanilla market in America. Like, we'll be the vanilla grower. Well, apparently that person is actually in our chat right now, which is amen. That is amazing. Wish my wife was out here. Let me know how that goes. We would love to buy your vanilla. Vanilla does sell for more than so. Vanilla is extremely hard to grow. Like, you need the perfect conditions to grow it. It takes a long time to grow. I looked all into growing vanilla. Yeah, my wife. It's a very comprehensive process. I remember after the first time I looked at it, I went, we're not growing vanilla right now. Uh, I started that during the fake demia, and then I sent my kids back to school. We do dopamine-based learning, and they've already jumped 2 grades. What's dopamine? What's dopamine-based learning? I need co-ops near Michigan and Utica. We have a Michigan group in Homeschools Connected. Yes, I will homeschool by the state of Florida, and then I will pay for yours too. I've been homeschooling since 2014. Kids are in the process. Once you figure out how they learn and what piques their interest. My son loves the illustrations. Yeah, Masha's such a crusher. I love what you're doing. Thank you. What website did you mention about the laws in each state? HSLDA.org. That stands for Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. HSLDA.org. They've frozen your video because you're a threat. Nah, I doubt it. I mean, maybe if I was bigger, but I don't think I'm big enough for that. There's a lot of fish in the sea. A lot of people doing a lot of good things. Tom Burnett, Crow 777 Radio, Pat Life. He's a PAT Life on YouTube. Owen Benjamin. A lot of people doing a lot of really good things in terms of building community and showing people how to garden and live their life free outside of the beast system. Curtis Stone, the urban farmer, the guy's incredible. My kids came up with a whole new character, Stand-Up Robert. That's awesome. You should have them make their own book and publish it on Amazon KDP. Children need to learn by doing and feeling. I must hear about Stand-Up Robert. Yeah, I'd love to hear about Stand-Up Robert. We strictly buy from small businesses. There is no supply issues within the community. That's what it is. Like, you could know your chicken farmer and get eggs from them. Like, you could know your local dairy farmer. You could know your local meat farmer. Like, you can do all these things. It's just, it might cost a little extra money. It might cost less, by the way. And it just takes a little bit of effort. I think I just joined, but I'm not sure if it went through. Yes, I got a notification that you joined. So when you join, you'll get a welcome email. You'll get emailed from Support by LaunchPass, and it has a passcode that you need that will give you access to everything. And I'll inbox you within the next couple of days, and we'll talk about your individual homeschool and, any questions you have. Louder for the ones in the back. They enslaved through ignorance. We're so excited you joined our family. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. I did that 7 years ago. I hate that this jumps. Like, I'm trying to read all your comments and it just jumps. Be fruitful and multiply. And live classes are Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Where can I buy your books? Go to classicallearner.com. You'll see all my books. Yes, exact climate knowledge experience. Hand pollinating. It's an orchard. That's amazing. Hand pollinating. I'm assuming that's in a... So you must have a serious greenhouse. Like, full heating and cooling system. Like, I have a greenhouse, but I couldn't pull off vanilla in it. Not yet. My phone froze. Could you please tell me again what the website was, where to get started? You're talking about hslda.org. That's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. Yeah, if you go to www.classicallearner.com, all the books are listed there. Dopamine learning is interest-based. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's what I preach. I call it unschooling or project-based learning. But basically what it comes down to is you take what your child's interested in and then you follow that interest and you use that interest to embed different things you want them to learn, to teach them skills, and to get them life experience, like entrepreneurial experience. Oh my God, I got a new phone and forgot to download Discord. We have missed so much. Well, get back on there. Why do earthquakes happen? And diving into it. Yeah, like that's really cool. And then you could do all types of art projects. Like you could do a lot of fun stuff with a topic like that. We started composting to explain composting. Right, exactly. In our nature unit study, that's one of the things our students have done this year. Heavy into nutrients and how plants do what they do. Everything has a purpose. Right. What color are the plant? One of the things our students studied this year is like if the plant leaf turns yellow, what is that telling you? Like that's telling you something about the soil, the water, the sun, and like you can learn to speak the language of the plants. I mean, you know that. Your family grows vanilla, so you're probably much better at homesteading than I am. You're one of my favorites on here. Appreciate that. Just hopping on to say that. Appreciate all your content so much. Thank you. Thank you. And please always like, comment, and share because that drives the algorithm, right? We started in a room in our house, then changed the garage. We also have gardens outside. We are buying property after the crash to have buildings of different climates. Yeah, that's awesome. My wife and I are, this is our temporary property, but we'll be getting rid of this, and we are moving on to, I have 16 acres that we're starting a homestead on. We just leveled 1 acre of trees. 15 other acres are covered in trees because the land is cheaper if you buy it covered in trees. So we're starting with the 1 acre and we'll build as we go along. But yeah, I'm going to be building some serious, like I built a greenhouse here, a 10 by 20. But at the property, I'm going to try to build some serious greenhouses. Like I want like a 50 by 100 greenhouse, some serious stuff. So hopefully I can pull it off, but very excited. And we're going to grow so much food at that property that I want to basically, for the most part, grow all our food that we eat. So that's the objective. Goal is for my dude to radio. Where are you? Me, Florida. Yeah, well, that's like another cool. I like studying all that stuff, and it's great for the children to learn. Like, if you teach your children how to, like, if you study grid down survival with your children, then they will literally be able to, like, if they could survive with the grid down, they can flourish with the grid up. So it's like, if the grid is down, you have to know how to do business, like, right? Like, you realize that money isn't the only form of currency. Like, you can grow vanilla, and that vanilla, right, becomes very valuable for trading, right? Like, trading and bartering. So, like, there's so many skills you could learn, like life skills you could learn through this type of study. We are working on a 20 by 40 greenhouse. We are building ourselves, so it's a pain. What are you building with? What are you using to build? I did a wood base, and then I did PVC piping, and I put the greenhouse plastic over the PVC piping. But that's only a 10 by 20. When you start getting into 20 by 40, the greenhouse is taller, so I don't know if the PVC piping would be strong enough, especially if you get strong winds. We covered light spectrum and what plants need, LED, 3 volts in parallel. So yeah, you're more advanced than me with what I know. Like, I wouldn't know how to do that stuff yet. But I'll try to get there. In fact, I will get there. We are doing pallets and cattle panel and covering with polycarbonate panels. Huh. Screenshot that. Yeah, people are amazing. But like, and that's the thing. And you have your children participate in every aspect of that. Does your greenhouse handle storms well? Like my greenhouse would get leveled by a hurricane. But if there was a hurricane coming, I would take it apart and then I'd have to put it back together after. Yeah, spread that knowledge. And TikTok's a great platform for that type of stuff, for sure. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to call it a stream. This was a fun one. I'll be back tomorrow at 9:30. But, yeah, classicallearner.com, Homeschool's Connected. Use the discount code FREEDOM if you're interested, $10 a month. I'll be doing some videos once we get the base done. Yeah, super cool. I look forward to seeing those videos. Please do. We are still learning, so spread the knowledge. And, yeah, I'm Classical Learner on basically everything. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. And I will undoubtedly be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. to earn it. Foster Bear? Oh, hey there, Foster Bear. Hey, goodbye. Ciao. Hasta la vista. Adios. He's a bit preachy. He's a bit preachy. Ugh. Ugh. You're a bit preachy. You're preachy on your channel. Take me from New York. I don't want to see LA. I really want to homestead with you. You'll be my American girl, Mrs. Classical Learner. All right.